Okay, coffee ready. We are going to jump into a tutorial for my Cybersecurity Bootcamp classmates working on an Active Directory new user setup simulation to practice in Windows, manipulating Active Directory, connecting a new computer to the domain so that the domain controller can then apply permissions to the user, the computer, the groups within the organization. We are, according to the scenario, working with Damon. We're setting up a new laptop for a new employee. We're going to call the new employee John Doe. He's going to be a recruiter in the HR department. And we need to start on desktop 2. That will be his new laptop. And we'll be using the server up here in our particular set of instances run through AWS as the domain and where the domain controller is going to be living. So let's start with desktop 2. Let it load again. I'm going to click server here, just prep that. Let's try it again. All right, in terms of environment setup, if you're not part of the cybersecurity class, this entire environment setup is going to be different for you. But you will learn some of the basics of connecting a new computer to the domain and then manipulating the Active Directory and Group Policy Manager in the server instance or your domain controller's server. So let's get to it. This, to me, appears to be the server, which is not cool. Let's hit desktop 2 again and try this once more. All right. So we've got John Doe, recruiter in the HR department. First thing we need to do is join his new computer to the domain, which is contoso.com. Something we can use while we're here is grabbing the private IP4 address of the server, which is here. You would also, if you didn't have that handy summary up there, be able to find it using an ipconfig with the all sub command, and then we can see it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down somewhere, preferably somewhere that doesn't get deleted, but I'm going to be lazy. 46.69, nice. And here we go. This looks like the correct one. I'm going to ignore that notification for now. And let's get to it. Step 1, join the computer to the domain. Step 1 is actually 2 steps. And if you are in the class, you need to be taking screenshots of these steps to create your runbook, which is the how-to checklist for repeated IT processes. Basically, a standard of procedure is a synonym for runbook, SOP. So I went to Control Panel, Network and Internet, Network and Sharing Center. We've got the interface, Ethernet 2 that we're working through, so we'll click on that. Go down to Properties. We're working with IPv4 as opposed to IPv6, so we're going to click on the IPv4 Internet Protocol option here and hit Properties. We'll go down to, on the General tab, use the following DNS server address and copying down my IP address here, 172. If you hit 3 digits, it'll auto move to the next section. If you only do 2 digits, you can press the period to move to the next one. 46, period, 69. Press OK. You could do validate upon exit, but pretty sure it'll work. I've done it a couple times now. Let's see if I messed it up. So that's basically step 0.5. And now step 1 is connecting the domain, or connecting this computer to the domain. So I click System and Security here, or on the main control panel, it's right here, System and Security. Click System. Loads up a new type of window where we're going to look for, rename this PC, and then with advanced at the side there. That'll take you right to the page, the tab that you need, where you'll go to change under the computer name tab. With computer name, this is going to be John's HR PC, so we'll do John, let's do all caps, John, spelling, HR, PC, OC. PC, domain was specified right here for us, contoso.com. Press OK. And if everything's happy, we should get a prompt to then put in the administrator information. So fast I couldn't even drink my coffee. Administrator and the password for the administrator to elevate the privileges in order to do this. Press OK. Welcome to contoso.com domain. Fantastic. OK. You need to restart your computer. OK. It's going to prompt us to do it now. Let's go ahead and restart it. While we are restarting that, let's go ahead and move to the server side. Hostname of the server here. We can X out of this. We need to pop into Active Directory. I use it a lot on this machine, so it's popping up right here. You could also search for it right here. A couple different ways to get it, or you could just not respond at all. You would type it in there. All right, let's give this thing a moment to load. Wow, so fast. All right, we've got our Contoso domain here. This is, I believe, the forest object, and then below here are different directories. I can't remember the exact terms, but we need to do a couple of things. We've switched to the server for step 2. Now we need to create a user for the new hire and set a password. We then need to create a group with the department name and place the user in that group. So let's just go into users. Let's click on this little icon here if it wants to. Let's not do that because it's being weird. Let's right click on the users field or empty plane here. Go to new and user. John Doe. John. He's the only John in the company. So we've got first name, last name, full name, user login, John. Next, we set up a password. In the real life scenario, you probably want to have this checkbox still active so that they have to change it at next login. You probably have other policies that enforce certain complexities of passwords. But for now, we're going to keep it as simple as possible with an easy password and press next. And we have now filled in all of the required information to create a user. We'll hit finish. That creates the user John Doe right here. So we've created the user. We've set a password. We're now on step 3. I'm going to do something here after step 3. I'm going to skip this fella. I'm going to start a new video for that. I'm going to do step 3, create a group. Step 5, create an organizational unit. Then attach a group policy to that organizational unit. I would probably do this by starting with the organizational unit, creating the group within it, and then creating the user to add into that group. So this seems a little backwards to me in terms of steps, but we'll just roll with it. So it still doesn't make sense to me to not throw a group into an organizational unit and then the user into the group. So what I'm going to do is right click on Contoso, create a new organizational unit. I'm going to call it HROU, press OK. I'm going to create a group within the HROU called HR group. I'm going to keep the group scope global and the group type security. Distribution is for mailing, security is for basically everything else. It's a security group technically, now that we've selected security group, or rather security on that portion in the group creation field. So we've got an organizational unit that contains a group, and then we need John to be inside the HR group. And check names, underline means that it found it, press OK, press OK. So now he's in the user's database, but he belongs to this group now, which is in the HROU. So now, just to give you a quick preface on what's next, organizational units are where group policies are applied and linked to. It's a little confusing because they're called group policies. They should really be called organizational unit policies, but they're not. Inside organizational units, you can have groups, you can have computers, like John's here, you can have users, like John Doe here. You can have nested organizational units, which inherit the policies of the parent OU, which would be this one. But let's not think about that too hard. Mainly computers, users, and groups live in organizational units. Organizational units are what link to group policies and then pass those policies through everyone that lives in that group. So we've switched to the server. We've created a new user and set a password. We have a group with the department name. We have the user in the group. Let's take a look at it. Members, John Doe is a member of this group. All right, so the next video, we'll create a share, which is basically a shared folder for the HR team. We'll add a text document to it, and we'll make sure that only the people who belong in the HR department have read-write permission to the shared HR folder. And then using that organizational unit, we'll jump into Group Policy Manager and attach a GPO to the OU. I can't remember what the O stands for. Group Policy Object, probably. Let's ask ChatGPT. This is actually Gemini. GPO in Windows Group Policy. What it stand for? Thanks. Gotta be nice to our overlords. Group Policy Object. There we go. Extra item of note, groups, users, and computers that live in here are also objects. Just an extra bit of trivia. All right, I'm going to stop the video there. We will go into creating the share server for HR and attaching a group policy object to this organizational unit to then apply policies to everything in this group, which would include John Doe. And there we go.